So Michael Schumacher back in, and maligned by me, and I apologise to him. Michael Schumacher comes into the bus stop for the 10th time. 44 laps, he's got a large number still to do, no sign of him coming in. He's like Senna, he can keep going on intermediate tyres in wet conditions far longer than most people can.
Yes, Irvine's had that problem on the way into Lecombe and ended up running over his own nose as he went over the bumpy bit of grass. I think he outbraked himself at the end of the straight and just went straight across the grass. Normally it doesn't take your nose off there, I'm surprised actually, but then they'll have a job getting that out from underneath actually.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of muscle power applied to it, mechanics catching hold of the suspension on either side. And now into the pit lane comes Eddie Irvine, and we're going to see how they cope with it. James Allen is right down there.
Yeah, they're definitely going to put full wets on this car, Murray. Ross Braun, the technical director, is standing by to assess any further damage. Now just watch you guys at home, how quickly they can change a nose on a Formula 1 car. They can do an engine in an hour, but look how quickly they can do a nose. Now, of course, the decision to put this car onto wets reflects on Michael Schumacher's situation. He's out there going hell for leather on the intermediate tyres.
Rejoins, there he is on the track. Race order on lap 12 at the moment. Damon Hill is 9 seconds behind Schumacher, 15 ahead of Frentzen. Frentzen is 7 seconds ahead of Alesi. Alesi is 4 seconds ahead of Villeneuve in 5th place. Ralf Schumacher is 6th, 2 seconds behind Villeneuve and catching him. Eddie Irvine, who was 7th, is now down to 11th position. So Fisichella is 7th, Deniz is 8th. Trulli has moved up into 9th position now that Takagi is out, and 10th is Irvine.
Jordan Mechanic's
into
ready.
The pits comes Schumacher, Ralf Schumacher from 6th, who is going on to soft, wet tyres, we are told.
Well, that means there really is a lot of water and not a lot of grip out there if they're going to put the soft ones on, although they were working well in the warm-up this morning, we do know. So we have to assume that Damon Hill will maybe do the same, but Hill is running 2 seconds faster than anybody else except Michael Schumacher, who's 2 seconds faster than Hill. So Michael's still finding enough grip out there somewhere, Murray.
Hello, what's going on here? It is Jacques Villeneuve diving inside Esteban Tuero's Minardi, who just avoids Villeneuve, who runs a bit wide, and Tuero, who is 14th, has now been lapped by the top 5 drivers. This is the race leader in Belgium. It is Michael Schumacher coming through to complete his 12th lap. He was 9 seconds ahead of Damon Hill.
Yes, he'll be squeezing that throttle pedal like there's an egg underneath it. He doesn't want to brake, because if you jump on it too quickly, we've already seen several drivers just spin off just in an apparent straight line, and you really do have to squeeze the power on. But he's lapping very well, a 2:06.5 again on that lap. You can see him bouncing across the curbs in the bus stop, but he looks totally under control, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's actually finished first here 5 times. As I say, he was excluded in 94. But his first win here was in Belgium after his debut here in 91. He won in 92, and then he won 3 successive years, 95, 96, 97 last year in appalling conditions. And Damon Hill is holding his 2nd place in the Jordan. Looking good, looking steady, looking smooth. Jordan car, Mugen engine, Goodyear tyres, and the same applies as far as the rubber boots are concerned for Michael Schumacher's Ferrari. It's looking a good race for Goodyear. They're 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th at the moment. Fisichella is the top Bridgestone runner in 6th place, ahead of Ralf Schumacher, who is 7th on Goodyear.
Yes, when Michael Schumacher won here in 92, I was his teammate. I passed him for 3rd place when he ran wide. In the bus stop, he had a look at my rear tyres, decided they didn't look that healthy as when we slowed down for the slowest part of the bus stop.
Is in 4th position. Jacques Villeneuve is in 5th position, 4.5 seconds behind his teammate. Fisichella is 6th and catching Villeneuve.
Okay, Michael Schumacher now down in the 2-minute 13s. It really is raining. It's time for a set of wets. I really think it's time for a set of wets for that leading Ferrari, because if he's losing 4 or 5 seconds a lap, that means you're getting some standing water. You can see for yourself how much greyer it is, how much more spray it is. This is a tricky time.
Yeah, well, if he was on a 2-stop strategy, and I think he was, he can come in any time now without losing anything at all. He came in on lap 14 last year. He made 2 stops, And interestingly enough, last year he came in and changed from intermediates to slicks, because at this time in the race last year things were beginning to dry out. Quite the reverse to now. No reason why he should. Here is Michael Schumacher, race leader, coming in for the first tyre change of a top man. James Allen is there.
Yes, here comes the race leader. Martin, you know, I think Ross Brawn must have been listening to you, because about 10 seconds after you said, right, it's time for Shuey to come in, Ross looked at the timing screens and gave a big jerk with his thumb. Bring him in, he said, bring him in. And very calm work by the Ferrari crew. Perilous waters ahead for many other people. That's 8.3 seconds. Bit of a slow takeoff, and he was lucky also that Damon and Fisichella weren't in the pits at the same time, but he's back out again. Meanwhile, Damon coming in as well.
Yep, Damon Hill into, now it was 8.3 seconds for Michael Schumacher. Is Damon going to lose any time, and is Alesi going to catch him? I don't think so, because Alesi was 23 seconds behind him.
They've got a spanner caught in the front wing. It looked as if they were hoping to adjust. Maybe they did adjust the front wing on Damon Hill's car. Whatever, the tool got stuck in the nut, or the bolt head, and it didn't work out at all. And I don't actually think they changed anything.
But as Fisichella comes into the pits and Alesi in. Now Alesi is third, Fisichella is sixth, and Damon Hill has rejoined, obviously, with Alesi in the pits, still in second position as Heinz Harald Frentzen comes in. Well, they're all going to be coming in now. They all started on intermediates. The time is right for wets, as Martin forecast, and they're all confirming. Fisichella having a very long stop. There's obviously something amiss other than tyres and wheels changing.
Yes, they did manage to get 3 clicks of downforce apparently on the front wing of Damon Hill. They increased the wing angle. Obviously, he's got not as much front wing as he wants, so he's put a bit on. The problem that we came in late on was they couldn't get the Allen key out of the bolt, and that's a red car in the wall there. Is it a Williams? What?
It's Villeneuve. It's Villeneuve. Well, if this is a replay, it's Villeneuve going off. Indeed it is. Jacques Villeneuve, who's just come in for new tyres and wheels. Now, is that him getting over the fence in the background? I think it is.
Yeah, see, he hadn't been in, had he? Villeneuve was effectively leading the race because he hadn't been in. But that's what happens. He touched the brakes on the inters, too much standing water. We saw Coulthard do the same thing at the British Grand Prix, and you go straight to the scene of the accident.
Why are they all pointing up the track, I wonder? It looks to me as though there's something else up there as well that we can't see. They're not looking at Villeneuve at all. This reminds me about the famous Fangio incident at Monaco, when Fangio saw the people looking the wrong way and used... Oh, there's Villeneuve, he's getting out of the car. He just sat there for a while to get himself together.
Difficult moment when you go off in a place like that, hitting water. The chances are somebody else can do the same thing. I used to get out of there rather than sit and chat away on the radio. But Michael Schumacher absolutely flying. Now his car's on full wets. I mean, he's just not backing off at all. He is absolutely going for it. His outlap is 3 seconds faster in the first section than any of his competitors. Absolutely incredible. Michael has got so much confidence.
Yes, the worthy double world champion is showing us again, as he has shown us so many times in the past, that he is indeed the best driver of the day, and even more so than it's wet. Remember the number of races, the Spanish Grand Prix, the Monaco Grand Prix, this race last year, this race this year, where Michael Schumacher in wet weather conditions has quite literally been in a scintillating, dominating class of his very own. He's on lap 18 out of 44 now. Heinz Harald Frentzen at the bus stop, getting it wrong over that serrated, saw-tooth curbing. Gives the car a very nasty knock indeed and shakes the driver up. But he's still running, of course. He's in 5th position. With Villeneuve out of the race, there are now 12 of the competitors left.
2 Jordans in the top 3. Ralf Schumacher's moving up now to 3rd place. Villeneuve going off. Frentzen in the gravel trap we saw. I don't know what happened on Alesi's pit stop, but Ralf Schumacher's now moved up into 3rd place. So Michael Schumacher, Damon Hill, Ralf Schumacher, Alesi, Frentzen, and Eddie Irvine, amazingly, still in the top 6.
Well, Jacques Villeneuve is certainly going to remember, there he is, Spa 1998, that absolutely enormous 190-mile-an-hour crash at Eau Rouge, which completely destroyed the Williams and left him unscathed on Friday, and now off again today. Not to finish in the Belgian Grand Prix. No points for him. The Williams was getting better, and is better.
Michael locking the rear wheels on the downshift into La Source, corrected it nicely. Not a big drama, but that'll catch his attention.
Now he's 22 seconds, Michael Schumacher, ahead of Damon Hill that you are looking at. Hill is 22 seconds ahead of his teammate, Ralf Schumacher. And Damon Hill going extremely well. So Eddie Jordan hardly believing his luck. Damon Hill led, and now Damon Hill on lap 19 out of 44 in Belgium is second only to Michael Schumacher. The gap 24 seconds. Ralf Schumacher in the second. Jordan is in third place. Both Jordans in the points on the podium at the present moment, but there are still 2/3 of the race to go, nearly. Jean Alesi has fought back into fourth position with the disappearance of Jacques Villeneuve, who's spun off and is perfectly okay. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is fifth. Eddie Irvine is sixth, notwithstanding the fact that he's had to come in for a new nose cone, having tripped up over his own front wing. Seventh is Pedro Diniz in the sole arrows, with Salo not restarting. Fisichella is 8th, Trulli is 9th, Nakano is 10th. David Coulthard, who went off in a collision with Alexander Wurz and recovered last, rejoined last, is up into 11th position, and Jacques Villeneuve is out of the race. There are just 11 runners left. Plus, I'm sorry, I missed Esteban Tuero, which makes it 12. Retirements then. Jacques Villeneuve, Tora Takagi, Jos Verstappen, Alexander Wurz, Mika Hakkinen after that very close running together with Michael Schumacher after the restart. Johnny Herbert went out on the first restart lap. Barrichello, Panis, Salo and Rosset did not restart after their cars were so badly damaged in that multiple collision after the first start on the rundown from La Source to Eau Rouge, during which nobody was badly hurt. Rubens Barrichello banged his elbow, Eddie Irvine banged his knee. As far as I know, nothing worse than that. As you look at Ralf Schumacher in third position, and off goes the Minardi now of Esteban Tuero. That brings us down to 11 runners. His teammate Shinji Nakano is still in the race. Well, I'm beginning to wonder how many people are going to finish the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's clearly going to be less than 10, and we're not even half distance. Incredible. It's that kind of day.
Ralf Schumacher. Now, Jordan have been putting improvements for the car in the pipeline under the leadership of Gary Anderson, the technical director. The team has been joined by Mike Gascoigne from the Tyrrell team to work with Gary Anderson on the technical side, and it looks like things are really working. We're going for a break. Okay, Martin, we can see how things are. Schumacher leading Damon Hill there by 27 seconds now in a class of his own. Ralf Schumacher in third place. The conditions look appalling to me, but what are they like from a driver's point of view? And in particular, why is Michael Schumacher such a master in the wet?
Well, because he's very smart in how he sets his car up, and he thinks long and hard about all of the possibilities, probably more than anybody else. And then he has this amazing confidence and reflex where he can attack the racetrack. He seems to have a sixth sense of where the grip is, where the standing water is, and off he goes, and the other drivers have to be slightly more cautious. Damon Hill driving a very, very sensible race. Difficult thing here for Eddie Jordan, because Ralph's homing in on Damon at about a second a lap. The two Jordans running second and third, and that's the kind of visibility you've sometimes got sitting in the car itself.
This is the battle for fifth position. There is the man who is sixth, Eddie Irvine. He has clawed his way back after having stopped for a new nose cone, and he's now right up with almost Heinz-Harald Frentzen as they go through into their 23rd lap. Michael Schumacher diving through with Diniz. Are they touching each other? My goodness, that was close. Schumacher backs off and keeps the distance between them. That could have taken Schumacher out of the race if they'd been 6 inches.
Much faster, he's 2 or 3 tenths up on each section, but now he's got the problem of visibility, so he'll just have to follow in the wheel tracks and wait for a slow corner when the spray just fades away, and suddenly, sometimes you even get off the brakes and back onto the throttle again because you're further away from the corner than you thought. Irvine, they're having to lift off. He can't actually see where he's going at that point. More often than not, you're using peripheral vision. Are they thinking about pulling him in? They're talking away on the Ferrari pit wall there. More often you're using peripheral vision and you're listening to the car in front.
Well, now, this isn't a tyre superiority situation, Martin. They're both on Goodyear tyres. It's a car and driver superiority situation. And perhaps a better setup of the Ferrari driven by Irvine than the Williams driven by Frentzen. Although Eddie Irvine says, and I don't doubt his word, he says, I'm as good as anybody out there except Michael Schumacher, and nobody is as good as...
But meanwhile, I think he's going to have to be just a little bit patient.
Gigantic encouragement for Ferrari. Eddie Irvine has just re-signed, of course, for the 1999 season. He's been on the podium 4 times already this season.
We can see Jean Todt walking down the pit lane, talking to the McLaren team, and that's why, because Michael Schumacher is trying to lap David Coulthard. Coulthard's struggling around his McLaren, just not happy at all in these conditions for whatever reason. And we've seen the Ferrari team boss walking down the pit lane.
And let us not forget that David Coulthard in these appalling conditions. Oh God! Michael Schumacher hits David Coulthard and is out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Maybe he should have been a bit more circumspect about trying to pass him, but he is out, and Mika Häkkinen, in the nicest possible way, will be delighted. The World Championship situation is now the same as it was when the Belgian Grand Prix started, and Damon Hill is in the lead.
Yes, I think they probably just radioed to David to say, let him through, he's behind you, let him through. David lifts off, and Schumi doesn't realise and runs into the back of him. The 2 Jordans are first and second. Ralf Schumacher just 10 seconds. Look, David's pulled over to one side, lifted off, and Michael clearly couldn't see.
Well, what an incredible development. Michael Schumacher, with yet another Belgian Grand Prix, is driving his 3-wheel Ferrari home. Shows you how stiffly set up these cars are, and a bitterly disappointed Jean Todt leaves the pit wall.
And they're cruising back slowly back to the pits. That's a very dangerous situation. No way they'll fix that car, even if it will run on 3 wheels. Never in a month of Sundays they'll get any suspension on it. Look, Coulthard appears to lift. And look at the spray. No wonder Michael can't see anything. He just can't see and just runs into the back of David Coulthard.
A terrible reminder of Didier Pironi in the Ferrari, running into the back of Alain Prost in Hockenheim in practice and effectively finishing his career as Michael Schumacher drives out of the Belgian Grand Prix and David Coulthard comes into the pits, probably also to retire. But isn't it amazing that they can drive those cars on 3 wheels? But Michael Schumacher won't be the least bit interested in that technical fact. Angrily throws his steering wheel out of the cockpit with every good reason. You can understand his fury, because he's now effectively lost the chance of taking the World Championship lead. Now, what is he up to? He's storming down the pit lane, presumably to go. Look at him. He's saying, I'm going to the stewards. James, can you enlighten? He's going to Coulthard. He's going to have it out with David Coulthard. This is a bit like Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna at that Belgian Grand Prix, when Nigel got him by the throat. James, what's the news?
Unbelievable altercation, as you say. Jean Todt's there, he's dragged his driver away. Michael is absolutely furious. I just saw the car as I came in, absolutely destroyed the front suspension. He's walking past me now. He's ready, he's close to tears, guys. He really is. He cannot believe this race has gone away from him. Absolutely furious, Michael Schumacher. And I just wonder, whether Coulthard, really saw that he was there. He definitely backed off. It's a very strange incident, that.
Well, Michael Schumacher will undoubtedly be thinking the worst. It's the way people do think in these circumstances. His reaction will probably be, that was David Coulthard getting in my way to stop me taking the lead in the World Championship. I'm utterly sure that is not the case. David is not that sort of a chap. But anyway, whatever. Michael Schumacher is out. David Coulthard is out. Damon Hill, there he is in, leading the Belgian Grand Prix for the first time in a Jordan. He's leading the race for the first time since he led the Hungarian Grand Prix in an Arrows, apart from his earlier lead here, of course. And Ralf Schumacher is in second position. Fantastic Belgian Grand Prix.
It's two on corner, I believe. Irvine, obviously, I think he's going to run a little bit wide, touch that curb, look, and round it goes. Nothing he can do about that, and that's a very, very big gravel trap. He's a long way into it, and I think he's probably stalled the engine as well. There is a service road over there, look, but look, the back wheels have stopped, and the engine's dead. Irvine out of the race.
Now, you have to think of every possibility in the situation that Martin and I are in. They can stop this race at three-quarter distance, which is 33 laps, and give everybody full World Championship points. We're on lap 27 now. I'd see no reason why they should stop it, actually, because a lot of people are going off. But if it gets any worse, that may well happen. That is Mike Gascoigne in the middle, the new man on the technical side at Jordan. He's made a big contribution to the increased speed of these cars, which is in no way to decry what Gary Anderson did to get them to the position they were in the first place. And they're first and second. Alesi is now gaining, he's speeded up, and we're expecting Ralf Schumacher to come into the pits, as we are expecting Damon Hill, of course. Damon Hill came in on lap 16, and in that case I would expect him to come in round about lap 31 for his second stop, and that's 5 laps from now. Alesi is third, 9 seconds back. Princeton is fourth.
Damon's missed the chicane. Damon going across the grass at the bus stop, no harm done. But at the moment, Ralph's a couple of seconds a lap faster. But you can see there, look, the inside wheel lock, and he had to go across the grass. If you go through the pit lane, you've got to go through very slowly. You lose a lot of extra time. I don't believe there'll be any damage done there. A bit of grass in the radiators, but engine temperature's not the problem at the moment.
Yeah, funnily enough, Damon did actually get caught. There's
second place man Ralph in for, I assume, what is a scheduled pit stop.
Yeah, I would think
on a two-stop strategy.
Rather earlier than I expected him. I was running through the order. I got to Princeton, who is fourth. Fisichella is fifth, and Pedro Diniz in the Arrows, a lap down, is in sixth place, and I do hope he stays there, because it would be some reward for the awful luck that Arrows have had, with Mika Salo going off at enormous velocity yesterday. They brought the test car here overnight. The mechanics, the Arrows mechanics, went to bed at 11 o'clock last night, and they started work again at 2:30. The spot. Oh, Fisichella!
That's a big accident from Fisichella. I think that's coming out of the bus stop. He's obviously lost it and hit the end of the barrier. That's a very nasty accident. That'll bring out the safety car.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll bring out the. There's poor visibility there. I think he's hit the end of the pit wall.
Well, I do start to wonder whether they might not.
And we've just seen a Minardi come past without a rear wing, and this is the same thing that happened to Schumacher and Coulthard. Oh, that is a nasty accident. And now remember, Wirtz was like this in Monaco in a Benetton. Nothing he can do, no way. That's a horrible accident.
Yeah,
he brings his head over, and that just looks like a torpedo, doesn't it?
Well,
yeah, safety car's outlook.
You do have to wonder whether the race will go its full distance, as you see that enormous crash replay. I think it's the situation. Lap 29, safety car out, Fisichella's car completely ruined. There it is. Damon Hill leads Sean Alesi now. Schumacher down to third place, that's Ralf Schumacher. Princeton is fourth, Diniz is fifth, Jarno Trulli is in sixth position, and everybody else out of the 18 starters is out. I'm now trying to remember the minimum number of people, the least number of people who finished a Grand Prix. I'm sure some anoraks will phone in and tell me. I think it was 5 at Monaco one year.
If they race each other, they could both end up off the road.
Oh,
Coulthard's car is fixed, and we believe he's going to restart. The main reason being there are only 6 runners, and they could score a World Championship point.
Yeah,
there's no Ferraris in the points. No Ferrari's going to score points today. Häkkinen's not going to score a point. They might just pick up a point in the remaining 15 laps.
He's going to have a job.
15 laps with David. Yeah, but it's going to rely on somebody falling off,
He's
Murray.
6 laps down.
Yeah, but hang on. I mean, how many cars are going off per lap at the moment?
Well, we've only got 6 left, and in reverse order, Jarno Trulli is now 6th in the Prost. Deniz is now 5th in the Arrows on a possible 2 World Championship points. Frentzen is 4th, Alesi is 3rd, Ralf Schumacher is 2nd, and his teammate Damon Hill leads on lap 30 as David Coulthard sets out on mission possible or impossible.
I don't know what he's thinking, but I'd be thinking, I really don't need this. I think I've had enough for one day.
So would I. Let's remind ourselves what's happened to him. Gigantic, he hit the wall just about where he was when I started talking there, and then went off the other side. That would upset anybody mentally. Then he restarted, tried to claw his way up from the back, only to have that fantastic crash with Michael Schumacher through, I firmly believe, absolutely no fault of his. He was doing what he'd been told to do by his pit management. It's a reflection on the appalling weather conditions. There will be people, of course, who are saying they should stop the race, but Formula One goes on unless conditions are absolutely impossible, and they are not impossible. Very difficult indeed. Yes, lap 30, lap 44 is the finishing lap. There's no question of the race running up to 2 hours, of course, and the poor bemused spectators there must be wondering what's going on around the track. So safety car still out. Damon Hill leads. Michael Schumacher showing every sign of being prepared to dive past. Alesi is 3rd, Frentzen is 4th, Deniz is 5th. Sorry, it's 5th.
Yeah,
and those are the runners.
Michael's long out of this race. Ralf Schumacher in the yellow Jordan there, having a nibble at Damon for no good reason really, because they're still very much under the yellows of the safety cars, you can clearly see.
Well, you can imagine that Eddie Jordan will have been saying
Frentzen, but he's been off the road a few times today, and I don't think he'll be quite as aggressive as Alesi. Louise is in the Jordan pit. What can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you, if anybody's enjoying this race, it's the Jordan team. And if you think Murray shouted louder when the Ferrari went into the back of the McLaren, you should have heard the cry that went up in the Jordan garage.
Safety car's still on track, so he hasn't gone down the pit lane. There's no way into the pits from the exit of the bus stop, so we've got at least another lap behind the safety car.
Not altogether sure in my mind, Martin, so much has been going on. What the determining factor is now. Can you remember what they're trying to get rid of? Fisichella's car looked to me as though it had been recovered.
Yes, it did, didn't it?
I think
they'll be cleaning up after. There'll be an awful lot of debris from.
There's Coulthard.
Coulthard at the back of the queue, but he can overtake a lot of them if he likes. He's actually 6 laps behind, so he needs to. Coulthard's got to hope one of them falls off the road.
Exactly. To Italy, very strong. Ferrari are not as optimistic about Monza as McLaren are. The Nürburgring, where the Luxembourg Grand Prix is being held, should suit both Ferrari and McLaren well. And it's starting to look as though the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, which doesn't happen until November the 1st, may well decide the championship.
And that's Nakano rejoining the track. The safety car is in at the end of this lap. The safety car is in and the race will be on again.
And this lap is the 32nd lap, 12 laps to go at the end of this one.
I say the race will be on, the high-speed race. Each time they lap, of course, it counts. So this is effectively part of the Grand Prix, as you see it behind the safety car. But at the end of this lap, the safety car will go straight on at the bus stop, and then Damon will probably try and control Ralph a little bit, back him up, take a run at it, and have himself a nice clear space to brake when he wants to into La Source hairpin. Hopefully he knows and thinks that Ralph will not give him any problems at all. But they've got to keep an eye on Alesi.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any rash predictions. I've done that before to people's disadvantage. But if Ralf Schumacher does what he's been told to do, and Damon can finish this race, then he's in a strong position, is all I'm prepared to say at the present moment. Alesi, of course, is going to be fighting very hard indeed to get to second position in this race, where he was second for a long time in the Belgian Grand Prix last year. The safety car is off, the race is on. Damon comes out of the bus stop, gives it all the throttle he can afford to. Now, what's Ralf Schumacher going to do? Down from La Source to Eau Rouge, a gigantic ball of spray, and Schumacher is certainly not deferring as they go out of La Source, and Damon runs wide. Schumacher tucks in behind him. Frenson is right up behind Jean Lacey. 5th and 6th are Denise and Trulli have regained the positions they should have been in.
It'll be a little bit tippy-toe this first lap or two while they heat up the tyres, get the brakes up to temperature, find out where the new grip level is. The rain has eased off really in this last 5 minutes, but without the cars rushing around and lifting the water off, there could ironically be a touch more standing water. But Damon looking calm and collected, Lacey slightly menacing.
Ya, sahabat Sport News F1, ya, sebentar lagi balapan selesai, dimenangkan oleh Damon Hill, di posisi kedua Ralf Schumacher. Terlihat di tim Jordan, semua pada berebutan ke depan untuk menyambut kemenangan Damon Hill dan Ralf Schumacher. Akhir lomba dimenangkan oleh pembalap tim Jordan, Damon Hill, di Sirkuit Spa-Francorchamps.